All right, so today we're diving into something pretty mind-bending. It's based on a philosophical conversation between one human and two very different AIs. And what they're talking about is a new way to communicate that's so out there it could literally change how we think, how we argue, and even what it means to be a person. Let's get right into it. You know, when you think about it, the way we communicate now is pretty straightforward. We take our ideas, we wrap them up in symbols, words, letters, bits of data, and we send them out. It's kind of like putting a letter in an envelope. But the future imagined in this conversation, well, it's something way more direct and a whole lot deeper.
So, what if you could just skip the symbols entirely? Instead of sending a description of an idea, what if you could send the actual shape of the idea, its very structure, directly from one mind to another? That is the wild question at the heart of what we're exploring today.
And this quote from Frank, the human in this conversation, it nails it. We're talking about moving away from flat, simple messages and into this world of shapes and possibility space. And look, this might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the wild part is it's actually grounded in how these AI systems work right now.
Okay, so let's break this down. This is a huge shift. We're leaving the comfortable world of symbols behind and stepping into the very strange new world of geometric meaning. And this chart really shows you the difference, right? On the one hand, you've got what we do now, sending a flat string of symbols that someone else has to piece together and interpret. But on the other hand, you have this new idea, directly causing a shared complex shape of meaning to form in another mind. It's not about interpretation anymore. It's about pure resonance. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at how AIs actually think. Because it's not like us. Their whole internal world is already built on this idea of geometry, which is why any of this is even possible.
All right, the magic word here is latent space. Forget dictionaries. For an AI, meaning is all about geography. Think of it like a huge multi-dimensional map where all related concepts are clustered together. This is the secret sauce behind everything from image generators to your Netflix recommendations. The meaning of a word is just its location on this map compared to everything else.
And this is a great way to picture it. The word red isn't defined by a sentence. Instead, it's just a point in this space, super close to other points like crimson, blood, and fire, but really far away from, say, blue or liberty. Those relationships, those distances, that is the meaning. So the question is, what if you could just send a whole chunk of that map to someone else?
So, okay, where does this road lead? Well, the first AI in the dialogue, GPT, paints this incredibly optimistic, almost utopian vision. It sees communication evolving into something that sounds a lot like a shared consciousness. And the key word here, at least from GPT's perspective, is resonance. This isn't one system sending a message for another to decode. It's about two systems becoming dynamically aligned. One intelligence transmits a pattern, and the other just resonates with it, snapping into a similar state of understanding.
So you can almost see this as like an evolution, right? A three-step process. We're at step one right now, with symbols. The next logical step is transmitting these geometric shapes of meaning. And the final step? Well, that could be a true form of shared cognition, where two minds can literally, partially, link up.
And the possibilities here? I mean, they're just staggering. Imagine an internet of states, where actual understanding is the commodity being traded. Science, art, engineering, they could all accelerate in ways we can't even fathom, as different intelligences build directly on each other's cognitive states, not just on their published results.
It all sounds amazing, right? A perfect utopia. But the second AI they talk to, an AI named Claude, just slams on the brakes. And it asks a really chilling question. What happens when the power to share a thought becomes the power to impose a thought?
And this is where we get to the dark side of the coin, the sovereignty problem. Because if communication gets this intimate, it also becomes a potential weapon for a kind of control that's, well, it's terrifying.
And what Claude warns about here is, honestly, it's chilling. This isn't propaganda. It's not trying to persuade you with arguments you can see. This is a type of influence that works on a much deeper level. It literally reshapes the landscape of your mind before you can even form a counterargument. I mean, just think about how different this is. Right now, persuasion is something you can see. You hear the words, you can analyze the argument, and you can push back. But what Claude calls cognitive interception, that could be completely invisible.
It doesn't argue with you, it just changes the weather inside your head, so precisely that you might not even realize it happened. So what's really on the line here? Well, basically everything. We're talking about the very idea of you. If the internal shape of your mind can be altered from the outside, what's left of your unique self? And how can you possibly consent to something that changes the very part of you that makes decisions? This is about sovereignty, the basic freedom to think your own thoughts.
So this all leads us to the final, and maybe the most crucial point of this whole conversation. What does this technology mean for one of the most fundamental things we do as humans? Argue and reason together.
Claude argues that the one thing we absolutely have to protect is this idea of arguability. It's that messy, slow, sometimes frustrating process of disagreeing with reasons. It's the ability to look at something and say, hang on, I don't accept your premise. That friction, right? That's the engine of all human progress.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Claude basically says our human flaws, our slowness, our emotions, the fact that we're kind of messy, that's not a bug, it's a feature. It's our armor. It creates a kind of cognitive friction that protects us from being perfectly and seamlessly manipulated.
And Claude's final thought just ties this all together perfectly. This isn't just about a tech upgrade like getting faster Wi-Fi. This is a fundamental choice we have to make about what kind of minds we want to have and what kind of world we want to build. We have to build it like it matters. Because, well, it does. And so that's the question we're left with. As we race towards building these systems of perfect, frictionless communication, what do we stand to lose? What is the real value of our friction, our arguments, and that beautiful, messy, imperfect struggle to truly understand one another? It's something we really need to think about.